All right, all right, all right. What's good, America? I'm Matt Casey, and as always, I'm joined by my dude, Marty Ward. This is the Same Cloth podcast. We're just cut differently. And before, we get into anything today, I just want to make sure everybody knows that this is a momentum or a momentous experience for us, a situation where we've been working hard to get to. We're going to be joined by our first ever guest, and he just happens to be a World Cup participant. We're really excited about him, and I can't wait to tell you more. But first, let me say hi to my guy Marty. How you been, bro?
What's good, man? How's everything going? Everything's going good over in Orlando, I hope.
Yeah, man, it's just raining this morning.
It's
I
wild.
love. I'm not mad at it. I like waking up to a rainy morning. It's tough to get out of bed.
Yo, but I got something for you though. You said you weren't a fan of the Clips.
Yeah,
The
well,
Clips when they came out.
love Pusha T. Love Pusha T, and grinding was a good. See, there you go with the grinding beat. Like the beat was crazy. Love the idea of Pusha T with Pharrell.
Menace.
Yeah, with
Or
Pharrell and those
what's his
guys.
name? Was it Menace, right?
I don't know, but they had they came out they had the buzz because they had the Neptune's
Neptunes.
beats. Yeah. So and I don't know, he had a whole different flow in it. And back then I was really immature. I was a cute guy. We
Malice.
like what we like. We like what we like. And
Malice was the other MC.
oh
Malice was the other MC. And,
yeah,
and
Malice
he
Malice wasn't my guy.
like he couldn't spit like Pusha could,
Uh-uh.
you know? No,
Uh-uh.
I hear what you're saying, man. But the Neptunes, man, the Neptunes alone. I remember sitting in my grandparents' sunroom off of Midland, listening to what probably on MySpace or something back then. And I remember sitting there, and all of a sudden on the radio, I forgot what station used to play rap 106.1 or something like that up in Cuse. I forgot, but in the Clips beat with grinding came on, and I went crazy in the sunroom. Like I started wiling out. Like I swear, I think my grandpa was like, "Are you okay in there?" And I'm just like,
First and foremost, Z89 was the hottest one.
Z89.
Z89 from SU's Hill. Like there
Oh,
were
okay,
times, yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
It
don't
was
remember.
student
I don't
driven.
remember what the rap ones were. I mean,
And,
you
and
know,
then and then the other thing I gotta check you on is there was no way there was MySpace. Actually, you're younger than me.
no,
Maybe
I
there was
am younger than
MySpace. Maybe
you.
there was
See,
MySpace.
there was MySpace when I was in college. I had a MySpace.
Oh, this was college. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Without
used,
a doubt, without a doubt,
you know.
without a doubt, there was MySpace.
Yeah, no doubt,
I
no
got.
doubt.
I think Facebook came out when I was a senior.
Yeah, because I was a sophomore. I was part of that movement. We ruined the world. So let's keep going. All
Amen.
right.
So let's get into sports. Let's update everybody on what's going on, man.
Yeah,
I
no
know
doubt.
everybody knows what's going on, but at least you can hear what
Well,
we
what's
think
the,
about it.
what's the big game this weekend? The All Star game from the NBA, correct?
Yeah, yeah. All-Star game, man. All-Star game this week, and I know originally a lot of the players weren't looking forward to playing a meaningless game during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the NBA has done a pretty good job working with the media to kind of not promote those feelings.
Yeah.
So you haven't really heard too much about that. But how would you feel if you were an all-star player on a team that was a contender for an NBA championship and you were forced, or not forced, but you had the privilege of playing in the all-star game during a pandemic in which you're going to a city and this doesn't your main goal is a championship. You know.
Yeah. I think it would depend on the part of my career. But if I was at that level at that time, like, I'd be excited, but not like I'd treat it just like business as usual. Like it's an all-star game. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do my best. I'm not diving for a loose ball. Like I'm not banging under the rim, but like I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna get a sweat in and I think compete and shoot and kind of, showcase some skills, but I'm not going out there and trying to win a championship in an all-star game, and I think that's the NBA. A lot of those guys, right now are on that level because they understand the priority right now. Like the priority yeah, the fans are number one because you want to give them entertainment, but at the same time, like a lot of these guys want to win this championship. They've been sacrificing a whole lot to play in these games.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
I see
tough.
where the NBA is coming from. The NBA did
Yeah.
they've been working really hard to revamp the All-Star game and make it
Yeah.
more competitive. I know like 3 years ago they went to the the top two vote getters and
Yeah.
both conferences got to draft their team, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
They went to what's that ending? The same type of ending that they use in the basketball tournament, the TBT.
Yeah.
I can't think of the dude's name. Some guy came up with a way that to end the game, they cut it off with 4 minutes left, no more time. So like there's no buzzer beaters, and they have a score that the winning team has to reach.
Oh yeah, they have to hit a certain amount of points.
Yeah. I forget. I can't.
Jackie Moon came up with that.
Word.
Jackie Moon came. It was free taco night, or it was a $10,000 shot or something.
There you go. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I think this All-Star game is going to be
West Coast, Western.
It's going to be lackluster.
Yeah. We'll see. But college hoops is back, and we got March Madness here. So college hoops number one seed predictions right now: Gonzaga, Michigan, and Illinois, and Baylor.
Well, Michigan just got blown out last night.
I know.
That hurts. That
does
hurts.
hurt.
They got
That does
beat.
hurt.
Yeah. At least it was by Illinois, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's interconference, and those two are both top teams. So I mean that's what they're predicting the top four seeds to be. The dark horse Final Four pick to win it all, West Virginia, Bob Huggins.
Keep it. I mean, they looked good last night. They just didn't pull it off. I mean,
they got a tough slate the next 15 days, but they got a squad.
They played Baylor last night, and they were up, and the refs called I don't know if you saw it. They called an offensive foul on West Virginia, which allowed Illinois to come down and win the game. But those two teams are tough, man. I like Baylor. I like West Virginia too.
Yeah, they're
the only thing about Bob Huggins, man, is he's had some really talented teams, and they don't win.
I know.
Hey, no shots fired against.
I like Huggy Bear though.
Bob Huggins, but golly. He's got to win a championship with this team, you know?
888 wins, 38 seasons as a head coach. I mean, you do play a lot of games in hoops, but still. Let's move on to JJ Watt, man. You think he's worth $31 million for 2 years and $23 million guaranteed?
I've gone back and forth on this. There have been times where I thought he was still an all-pro. You know, he's gone through a significant amount of injuries, but he comes back and he still gets double teamed. And then, there's times where I'm like, yo, this dude ain't produced anything last couple of years or whatever. But I would lean towards, if you're asking me if he's elite or average, I would probably lean towards more average than elite.
Yeah.
But he's somewhere in between. I mean, he's going to be productive. Is he worth $31 million over 2 years at that age? Probably not. I think there's a good chance that he'll end up missing at least, I don't know, an average of 4 games a year. You know what I'm saying? But he does bring that, now I wouldn't say championship leadership, but he definitely brings that experienced veteran leadership. I've been through it all. Okay, if you're getting doubled like this, or they're coming to, chip you like that, I mean, he's experienced it all. So and he's teaming up with good old Cuse boy over there. What you call his little brother? John Bones Jones, little Chandler Jones.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a tough little DN crew right there.
Yeah.
JJ Watt and Chandler Jones.
Yeah, we'll see. $23 million guaranteed is too much money for JJ Watt, but Arizona's got to do something. I mean, it is what it is. It's the pick, and that's what they wanted. So they went out and got him, and they're going to pay for him.
Sounds like Arizona is all in with Kyler. They think they got a squad. They got the receiver there. I think they're going all in, man. You might see Arizona make a couple more big free agent moves.
I'm not going to see him in the Super Bowl, though. So Cuse spanked Virginia in lacrosse. Moving on to college lacrosse, Cuse Town came back after that, beaten by Army, and spanked Virginia in the Dome, led by 4 players with hat tricks: Brendan Curry, Tucker Dordovic, Stephen Rafis and Owen Hiltz, freshman sensation from Canada.
Mm.
Unbelievable turnaround. Hats off to the Syracuse coaching staff. Hats off to the players in the locker room. Unbelievable. I thought it was great to see.
We were talking about Virginia like they were like one of the best. I mean, they were the best team. Them in North Carolina.
Very good.
Those were the two best teams in the country. And last weekend, Syracuse came off of getting blown out in their own home opener.
Yep.
To Army, a team that always is competitive with Cuse, but. We thought
top 10 team.
We thought, top 10, but there's a difference between one of the best teams in the country and top 10. Like we thought Cuse had significantly higher or more talent.
Well, they proved that against Virginia.
So it was exciting as a Cuse fan and as a native of Syracuse to see that team come out there and play the way they did. It wasn't just the score. Marty, I watched the second and third quarter. And they not only beat them, but dominated them in every aspect of lacrosse, every aspect of the game.
No,
face-offs, ground balls, offense, possession, clearing, riding, defense, goaltending. Like every single thing that you want your team to do well, they didn't do well. They exceeded doing well. They dominated. And,
some silky mitts on Hiltz there.
Hiltz is
got
the
hands,
real
huh?
deal. I didn't realize how good he was, man.
He's got hands.
He's a Canadian, right?
Yeah, he can play, man, for sure.
Was he Hill School? No, he went to Indiana. Culver,
yeah. What a player! What a player! I mean, that's a
excited
huge
about
pickup.
that.
No doubt. Now let's move on to the big PLL pro lacrosse news. Paul Rabel. Did he trade himself to the Cannons?
I don't know.
I'm just messing around.
That's a good question.
We love you, Paul. Paul Rabel gets traded to the Cannons for 3 picks. Back for the Atlas Outlaws. Sorry, MLO. Back to the Atlas.
Rest in peace.
I like this trade. I know there's haters, and we talked about it on the phone yesterday, the day before. I like this trade. I like it. Cannons get a 35-year-old veteran, big midfielder who knows, he's a pro, and they can, build around, help the culture a little bit early on with the Cannons group. Coach Quirk over there is going to do a really good job with his group. And I like this pick. I like this trade. I think it's a good fit for Paul. And I'm hoping the best for the squad this year.
So, Cannons gave up a lot to get him. And I think that's where a lot of the commentary you see on social networks and social media and online come from, right?
Yeah.
And, the age of Paul, he said he's 35. God,
I think so. I think he's
we're all getting old, man. Paul Ray was 35. Okay. Listen. There's pros, there's vets, there's all-stars.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole nother level.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to play with Paul Rabel for 4 years.
Yeah.
He is all of 6'3", 6'4". He's all of 220, 230 pounds or whatever he is. He is, his first step is quick as all get out. He's strong. He shoots with both hands on the run. I mean, this is a GOAT. This is one of the best players of all time.
I think he's all-time points leader in the MLL history
and that'll never change.
No.
Right. And, he's, people might, older guys might have a problem with this, but he's on the Powell, the Gate level. He's that good.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
Again, I think there's a lot of people that would disagree. I think,
there's a lot of haters out there, though.
There's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that don't think LeBron's on MJ's level.
Yeah,
and they just got to recognize that greatness transcends generations, and Paul's just a different generation. So what I was going to say is, trading up to get Paul. And we've seen this in the MLL and Casey Powell, he he takes the whole regular season off, and then he signs with a playoff team. And John Grant Jr. did the
Yeah, I mean,
same thing towards the end of their
well,
career.
Rabel's on that level though.
Here's what the Cannons need to do. Paul Rabel is not going to run through a ground ball for you every single time. He's not going to be the guy to take 10 shots a game.
He might, but yeah.
Physically, I don't know if that he's capable. The 35 is tough when you're going up against 22, 23, 24-year-old studs.
Yeah, did you watch him in the bubble though? He was shooting a lot, missing a lot.
If they manage him, and if he allows that to happen, if they manage him the right way, he's gonna when he plays, he's gonna put up 4 or 5 goals a game. He's a stud, bro.
You think he's gonna put up 4 or 5 goals a game?
I would say if they manage him the right way, meaning they don't allow him to play defense, they don't put him on the wings.
He's getting step downs.
They might even sit him a game or two just to make sure he's recovered.
Okay.
He's coming right out of the box. I could see him having 2 games. Here's my line.
Okay.
So he's gonna have 2 games this season with 4 goals or 5. 4 or 5 goals.
Wow. That's a huge take, Matty. That's a huge take. And I love the take. I love it. I love it. Consistent veteran, more than a veteran. He's on that higher level. I love it. The John Grant Jr., the Casey Powell comparison, get him in the locker room.
Paulie Bones, man, that's my guy. Shout out to Paul Rabel. Tag him when we post this.
If you get a chance, you got to pick him. You got to get him. You got to get him in your locker room. You have to. We talked about it.
Without doubt.
So now we got our first guest joining us here today. I know he's been in the waiting room. He's probably been waiting patiently in the green room for a little bit here. But we got Jeremy Christie.
Let me introduce him.
Yeah, you got it. You got the intro.
So this is a good friend of mine. He's played professionally soccer or what they call football. Okay?
He's a footballer.
He's a footballer. He's played professionally in England, New Zealand, Australia, I believe. I think I looked it up online, and the U.S. with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He played in all levels of New Zealand's youth national teams, and then had opportunity to play in 27 men's national team games for New Zealand. And he is currently the head coach for Lake Highland Prep, former state champions 2 years ago in 2019, and is the founder and coaching director of the newly formed FC Highland, which is doing a great job. They've got the best coaching staff of any soccer club team I've ever seen. And I'm pretty novice when it comes to club soccer, but I mean, everybody on their coaching staff's a current pro or former pro. I'm just my son's in the program. I love it. I'm proud of what he's done and what he's accomplished in such a small time. He just finished up his 3rd season as the head coach at Lake Highland Prep. And his first season, he won the state championship, and he's built this program. He's got things rocking and rolling. Our first guest ever at the Same Cloth podcast is Jeremy Christie, man. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Jeremy. Thanks for being on, buddy.
Thanks, guys. You mentioned that I played for the New Zealand under-13 regional basketball team. So
I forgot. That's right. So Marty, I don't know if I mentioned this.
Yeah,
but Jeremy Christie is probably the number 1 pick in our Thursday night hoops games every single night.
So Jeremy, I got a question on that real quick. Just Australia or New Zealand basketball? Because I know Australia's got some good hoops. What's the difference there?
Australia is bigger and slightly better than us at everything.
Okay.
Except for rugby, it's just a numbers game. You know what I mean? They got 5 times as many people as us. But I think I don't know if there's any Aussies playing in the NBA right now. I guess there's a couple.
Patty Mills.
Patty Mills, Ben Simmons, Andrew Bogut was obviously
playing.
We have Steve Adams. We got he's more. We provide more humor probably than the Australian.
You mean Aquaman?
Aquaman, yeah.
Steve Adams, Aquaman, man. I swear, that's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm a massive basketball guy, and I love going out and playing hoops. He's lying, like I said, and definitely not number one pick. But I love going out and doing it, and that's one of the reasons we're good friends. We could play some basketball together.
That's great. That's great. Well, I was very piqued by the guest spot opportunity to get you on. Talking to Matt and just discussing who our first guest should be. I think for our podcast here, we want to not differentiate ourselves from other lacrosse podcasts, but we want to bring sports guys on, and people that are culturally, a little bit, just rounded people. So, I'm excited to get you on. New Zealand, I know, has an Aboriginal population, an indigenous population. I myself am indigenous Native American here in the United States. My grandmother and grandfather, both full-blood Native Americans. My grandfather's Onondaga and my grandmother's Cherokee. So my father was Native American and so on and so forth, right? So, I know, tell me a little bit about that background and what that looks like over in New Zealand.
Yeah, so our native New Zealanders are Māoris, spelled Maori.
Yep.
We pronounce it Māori. So my dad, he's full Māori. Both. My mum is actually English, but she moved to New Zealand when she was young. I guess historically the British came over and colonized New Zealand. It was actually, I think they fought for a while, but then they signed a treaty. New Zealand it's a very, I guess there's no 100% full native Māoris left.
Okay.
It's kind of been diluted, but the country does a really good job of recognizing and acknowledging the native people. Our national anthem is sung in English and in Māori. We embrace like the culture. All of the road signs are in both English and Māori. So the country does a great job. Paid a bunch of reparations 20 years ago or something to all the tribes. So,
well, there's a big difference between New Zealand and America.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's pretty big, and they gave all the land back. So most of a lot of the coastal land and stuff is owned by the tribes.
Wow, that's huge, man. I didn't know that.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I got the New Zealand T-shirt on for you, New Zealand lacrosse shirt. Yeah,
we have lacrosse in New Zealand.
I guess so.
No,
in 2014, we had I had the honor of being with the Iroquois national team for my last go, which is an indigenous lacrosse team here in the States and in Canada. And we were able to really bond with the New Zealand squad. The New Zealand squad, we met them at a park in Denver, and they blessed us with a haka and a really powerful, moment for us as a team. And we were able to, lead some song with them and have a nice little ceremony with the New Zealand squad. We broke some bread with them. And it was a really fun opportunity for us. So, I just, it's a place I've always wanted to go. I know Coach Casey and I have been talking about it and stuff. And I think it's pretty neat, man. I love the fact that they give back, to the indigenous there. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy's offered me, to be his. I'm sorry, Jeremy has offered to be my guide over in New Zealand a couple times. With coaching and lacrosse and all this other stuff that we got going on, man. It's
nice.
So tough to get over there, but I'm ready to take it soon. I'm ready to take you up on that, Jeremy.
Well, yeah, let's get into the World Cup. What was that process like for you? I think we lost him.
We lost him. He's coming back though.
He'll be back.
Jeremy's one of the guys I know that here's one of the reasons why he's so successful as a basketball player. And this translates to lacrosse. I think he'd be a great lacrosse player. And I'm guessing, I've never really seen him play. I've only seen his stats and his highlights and all this stuff. And why he was so successful as a soccer player. His spatial awareness is on another level. It's on another level.
Yeah.
And I was gonna bring it up when we started talking about the FC Highland and him coaching Lake Highland.
Here he is. He's coming back on now. I'm getting him back in.
He's got amazing drills.
Here he is.
To coach spatial awareness.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
Well, is he here?
Yeah, he's popping on right now. He's here.
Sorry, guys. AT&T Fiber are the worst.
You're good. You're good.
Bro, bandwidth, man. Get your bandwidth up.
Don't worry. We're not sponsored by them. So anyways.
Yo, listen. I was, let me go. I was talking about your ability to understand spatial awareness. And I was saying that's what makes you so, special on a basketball court. I can only imagine, your spatial awareness on a soccer field. And I think it would translate to you being successful on a lacrosse field. And I started talking about like the drills that you run. And I forgot to allude to the fact that, Jeremy has pre-COVID, pre-pandemic has let me hop in with the varsity soccer team. I'm no soccer player, never played soccer in my life. But I like competing. I coached, or I taught a lot of the players on his team. And I'd hop in, and there's one drill that I love that you run. It is you got what do you got? You got two teams. You got a field, and it's usually smaller than a soccer field. And the amount of players on each team is determined by how big the space that you have. But you always have one, maybe two, possibly three players that play only offense for either team that has the ball. And the goal is to get as many touches, as many completed passes between the teams, right? The offensive players are kind of just on no team, but they're just playing offense. So they're just creating space and creating an advantage. And the defense is just trying to steal the ball. So it's basically keep away, but you're playing for points, and you reach a certain amount of touches, completed passes, and you get a goal. And I'm telling you, I played in that game, and I want to do it lacrosse style someday, because it is one of the most tiring. There's disguised conditioning, but it's one of the best drills to really incorporate that knowledge of, okay, well, I don't have to go forward, because soccer is a game just like our sport, just like lacrosse, where you don't have to go forward to be successful.
I guess so.
I don't think so, man. You gain possession of the ball. The other team can't score, right?
Yeah, we got a clock though to clear with. So Jeremy, are you?
Oh yeah, you guys.
Where are you at with your coaching now, and how did the World Cup level, you growing through that system, make you the coach you are right now?
I don't know. I think I had a lot of experience playing, and you take from all the coaches that you have the good things. So I was fortunate enough that maybe in my career when I was bouncing around different clubs, you don't think that it's about the positives, but then towards the end of my career, now that I'm coaching, I'm able to take the best things, what I thought was the best from coaches. So I'm very much the best coach. All the environments I was in as a player were like player driven, where the coaches were there to guide more so than being like in control all the time. So even with the high school kids, I try and give them, have a leadership group and give them responsibility. But so many drills like Matt's talking about, all the coaches have different drills. A lot of them have the same stuff over and over, but it's just ways they implement them. So I remember what I enjoyed as a player, what I hated as a player. Some of the hate you still do, but for the most part, I try and make decisions like, yes, that they'll learn, but also stuff that they're actually going to enjoy. So they work harder on them. Enjoyable. I'll normally say to them, like, look, I know this stuff sucks, but it's important that we do it. So please just pay attention for the next 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll get back to some fun stuff. And I think it's just trying to get the players to and have them really lead the way. That's kind of what I try and do again with our rugby team in New Zealand. That's how they kind of do things. And our soccer team, we did a lot of stuff they did, and it's all very much player driven and about developing leaders, stuff like that. So that's my philosophy in the game, is having the players kind of run the show.
Yeah, that's a real pro philosophy too. You don't get that really with coaches unless they've been around professionals You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot with the high school and, youth coaches. Like, you don't get that type of vibe unless those guys have played at that level and they've been around that player-driven type culture, right? So that's awesome to hear. That I really love that. That's something we're trying to implement more here at Southern as well. Tell us a little bit about your journey to America. How'd you end up over here?
Soccer is obviously a game. I grew up in New Zealand. There's only one professional team in New Zealand. They play in the Australian competition. So when I was 16, I had the opportunity to go to the UK and play professionally. So I moved over to the UK at 16. Played there, played there for like 4.5 years, and went back and played in the Australian League for like 6 years. And then just kind of was looking for a change and had a few opportunities in some countries in Asia, but, for different reasons, I was looking for something else. And I just had a friend who got a job. I had a friend who got a job at the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and he reached out, and I was looking for different. He said, "You want to go where?" I said, "Tampa Bay." I said, "Where's that?" He said, "Florida." I was like, "Yes, I'm in." So pretty much like that, I come to Florida and, kind of was here. I actually went back to the UK 2012, was looking at a couple of clubs there, but I was old by that stage, about a year out from injury. So ended up kind of packing it in. And
That's great. That's great. Matt, I know you got a question for Jeremy about his in the World Cup. You want to touch on that?
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to give us a little promotion, and I was going live on Instagram there for a second. So bear with me here. So one of the big questions, Jeremy, I had, because I did a little research. I knew you guys played 3 games. You unfortunately didn't advance, but you guys competed well.
But they didn't lose. They didn't lose. They were the only team that didn't lose that advances.
They tied all 3 games. That's crazy. And that's the unfortunate part about soccer, right?
We milked the heck out of that, man. Only undefeated team of the World Cup. We had a DVD.
You got to milk that. That's got to be on every billboard in New Zealand.
You got to make T-shirts. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like at that time, 2010, Italy was a perennial power. I think they won the previous one. They won 06, right? So they were the defending champs, right? I'm looking at the Italian roster, and I'm seeing all these guys, like, I mean, legends, right? They got De Rossi, they got Chiellini, they got Bonucci. I mean, Buffon didn't even start. They were so good. I just spoke to you. You said he was hurt, but who was the most impressive player, either on Italy or throughout the entire the 3 games that you guys played against? Who stood out the most?
I don't know, man. That Italian team, they were the reigning world champs, but they were I guess they weren't at their peak. We ended up finishing ahead of them in the group.
Well, they didn't even advance.
No, it was the other two.
Wow.
So Paraguay went through, and we finished 3rd. But they had, Cannavaro was still there. He'd been, Captain World Player of the Year. They were amazing. Fortunately for New Zealand, it was great, but we got to play some pretty cool teams the year before against Spain, and that Spain team was.
That's who won it, right?
They won the 08 Euros, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euros. We played them in 09, and they were scary. That was like Xavi Alonso, Torres,
Iniesta,
Fabregas, Puyol. That team was stupid. But the best one was we played in 2006. We played against Brazil, and it was a week before the 2006 World Cup. So they were reigning world champs from 02. But that team was we walked down the tunnel. We played it in Switzerland, and I'm playing in midfield, but I'm looking, and it's like Cafu, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldo.
Real Ronaldo. Like piece of hair in front of his head, Ronaldo.
That it's funny because a lot of people here, they call him Fat Ronaldo or that guy is arguably the greatest player ever. Like the disrespect he gets now from people, but he was the greatest. Ronaldinho, Kaká, they were all in that team.
Oh my Lord.
So that was one. The field with all of those players, Kaká was probably the best player.
Okay.
Really?
Kaká was he was top of his game then.
Yeah, he was the player of the year, the FIFA player, whatever. What's the big
year after? I think in 07.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Golly, that would have been amazing. What was it that made them so good? Was it the speed of play, the skill level, the instinct, the athleticism? What was it?
All of those things, but mainly just like, you know, there's players who are as fast, as strong, as technically gifted as all of them, but just how smart they are. Like, you know, they look like they have time. I remember playing against, it might have been, I think it was Perlo, and people were like, you know, coaches saying, don't give him time, get time. I think, yeah, he's not very fast. He should be able to get tight. But every time I'd look away, he moves 10 yards. Look back and he's gone. And he's always, he's really, really smart, never in a hurry. So then you always look at those players. When I watch games now, people will say, why don't you get tight on him? How come he's got so much time? It's like, you know, that's why they're so good. Like they're able to they're just so smart. And like you talked about, Matt, like spatial awareness and knowing where the space is, timing of when to move, stuff like that. Like that's the amazing thing about those players.
Yeah, soccer players are almost like mathematicians, right? They're like geniuses with angles and anticipatory, and like they see the angles and the passing lanes, you know, 5 touches before they get the ball, or before they're even in the spot where they think they're going to get the ball. And that's the stuff that I love about soccer. And that's when I became, when I started seeing all that stuff. And like, not only did I become a huge soccer fan, but I think I got better as a basketball player. I think I got better as a lacrosse player. You know, when you start seeing those things, when you start anticipating and approaching, sports in a spatial concept with angles, and I don't know, it just elevates your game. And I love hearing these stories about, you know, Italy, Spain, Brazil, the greats, man. That's so cool. You know,
do you think that that's the biggest separator, Jeremy, is like just the IQ?
You there? Oh, he's out again, man.
It's
we
okay.
got, hey, that's all right. We're gonna hit some people up. We're gonna sponsor them, get them a USB, or what's that called? Not a USB. What's the landline thing? What's that thing called? Ethernet. There you go, man. There you go. So once he gets back in, we're gonna transition into.
I can pause. When we pause it.
Yeah, pause that. Pause.
So we're gonna start off again with a rapid fire segment now with Jeremy. Everybody knows we love to do some rapid fire questions in each of our episodes. So, you know, we're going to hit you with a couple things, and let us know what you think here, Jeremy. All right. Who's the better team in the NBA, Brooklyn Nets or the LA Lakers?
Lakers.
Okay. Even though they lost like 6 out of the last 9 games, something like that. You're good. You're good on the Lakers.
Well, I mean, I do like, you know, KD, but I just think LeBron's on that team, a little more chemistry. They've been together a little longer.
Nice.
If I had, house on the line, I'd probably go there, but nice. I've been wrong with a lot of things.
All right, here we go. Putting you on wax right now. I know you're a huge fan of both of these guys. Who would you rather have dinner with tonight? Tom Brady or Derrick Rose?
Oh, man. That's tough. I do love me some TB12. I don't know. Probably Derrick Rose. I think he's had so many kind of ups and downs, a lot of adversity. You know, I just like how people come back from tough times and stuff. And he was at the very, very peak, and then obviously right down the bottom, and working his way back. So I think it'd be cool to have Tom Brady. I don't know how much fun.
Sorry, Tommy.
Well, yeah, my answer would have been it depends if Giselle's coming in now. You know.
That's great. All right, I got one for you because I had a Australian roommate in college. Shout out to Victoria. Vegemite spread or Marmite spread?
Both horrendous.
Both are horrendous.
No, none of the above. None of the above.
Neither. He used to, so we'd get back from the social places that we went to in college, and it'd be 3, 4 in the morning. I don't even remember at this point, but he would have toast out and he'd be whipping up Vegemite and he'd hand it to me and I'd eat it. And I'd be like, what are we eating?
The fact that Vegemite's Australian, I'll probably go Marmite.
There you go. I had to find New Zealand spread for you.
got one last one. All right. If you had $1,000 available or $10,000 available, you putting it on Disney right now in the stock market, or you putting it on Apple?
Mm-hmm.
Apple.
Apple.
I think technology,
Any,
man.
okay.
Yeah. Knowledge on research and everything. I don't know. I feel like they're just always going to be going that way.
I'd put it on Apple too, but I just know that once these restrictions get let up, and it's trending towards sooner than later, people are going to be vacationing. They got all this free money, you know.
Yeah. I guess long term.
Yeah.
What, for Disney or Apple long term?
Disney, man. They're both, I guess. You know.
I think they're both smart plays. There's no doubt. They're both smart plays. But I mean, just don't put on the what's the one what's the electronic store? Best Buy?
GameStop. Just don't put on GameStop. Yeah, I think you're done with that. All right, let's transition over here to the cultural segment here. You know, we got some big things. I know Marty's a huge girl dad now. He's got a little baby, the baby Sawyer. You know, March marks not only, unfortunately, the end of Black History Month, which is, you know, kind of weird to begin with. I'm torn on Black History Month and, you know, kind of categorizing or boxing all
that's what
one culture's history into a month of learning, right?
That's what we do, though. That's how the world is.
You know, where Black history is American history, but now we do it to women as well. Yeah. You know that's like 50% of the population, or if not 51. But March is Women's History Month, and while we're here, you know, we'd love to, you know, it's an opportunity, just like February is for Black History Month. It's an opportunity to celebrate women. You know, and I just wanted to, you know, hear everybody's thoughts on, women playing sports, women, you know, Title IX. What are your thoughts on March being Women's History Month?
I'm with you. Like, it's weird that it's wrapped up in a month. Like, that should be, you know, just around kind of some knowledge. But I think New Zealand does a good job of, again, I think we were the first country to give women the right to vote. Certainly our soccer program, national team, and we do our CBA and that together. Like, everything is shared, and you know, we try and, I guess, strive for equality with everyone. So for me, you know, I think it's not a question really now, right? Like, it sucks that it sucks that it.
Yeah.
Bunch of female coaches at our club, and the other clubs in Orlando, shit talking them, they just don't.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. So just getting back to where we're at, like I think the Women's Month, and, you know, it coincides, like Matt was saying, with Black History Month. Like, we put everything in a box, and we don't need to do that. And, you know, I'm a newly minted girl dad, and it hasn't changed my perspective, but it has enlightened me a lot. Like, I think women do rule the world. Like, they are powerful beings. Like, I look at my daughter and I'm like, you know, you're going to do great things, you know? And I think, obviously, you look at your kids and always say that. But it's different when you're raising, you know, when you start raising, that's going to be a responsibility as a dad to, like, take care of that baby girl, you know, and raise her as a woman. And I'm fortunate enough to have a strong wife that's a strong woman too, and an independent thinker, and a woman that takes care of herself, you know. And it's fun to see this, like, the change. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think we can all take a note out of the New Zealand playbook, though, and just be, like you said, the CBA between New Zealand soccer, you know, women and men is equal. Like, probably soccer in the United States should be the same way, right? Like,
so does that mean that if the men, and this is hypothetical, right? If the men sell $100,000 worth of tickets and the women sell $50,000 worth of tickets, then they each get they split $150,000 worth of tickets amongst the players.
Well, our CBA we didn't even really get money for that. We just got percentage of prize money.
Okay.
So ultimately, we get the same, but it's other things. It's like the, travel conditions.
Right. That's the big stuff that you can make sure that is a level 100% playing field.
Training facilities, like the men won't train on turf. So now it's the same, the women don't have to train on turf either. The men, if they fly more than a couple of hours, it's business class, everything. Now, they have that same kind of deal, which hurts the federation because, we ain't got money like the US soccer or something. So then now they got to fly team around the world. They got to pay business class for everyone. But it's just, again, matching those standards. Like it's good for the men.
Yeah, it's better.
So it's not financial. It's not all financial compensation. It's just living conditions and playing conditions. Treatment.
Yeah. Just being treated. Like why do they get this and we don't? Why do they get this? So we just, especially our national team players are meant to be at the pinnacle and everything. So we just try and treat them like that. It's difficult. I mean, here it's difficult as well because players are it's so different. The women are under contract. The men aren't. The men just get salaries from their clubs, whereas the women are getting paid from the national team. They have that group of designated players or whatever who are paid federation. So that's the difference. So I know they've got like different kind of systems with some of the financial stuff, but I just feel like working conditions need to be same across. Like that's it.
We're going on 1 year of the pandemic now, right? We've been living in this world now. How come New Zealand had so much success, or at least visible, media success with the pandemic compared to the United States? Not just population. What do you think one of the differences were?
There's a couple. Firstly, being an island nation helps. You can kind of stop. But what they did is they took it really seriously. As soon as it kind of came in, the country shut down for 8 weeks. Stay at home, no one leave, and everyone took it seriously. There was no this is fake. Everyone just went, okay, we'll do it. And I think the government has, the people trust the government.
Yeah.
Okay, if they say that's what it is, that's what it is. Everyone stayed home for 8 weeks. They shut the borders. They didn't let anyone come in. And then whenever there was, even now, 2 weeks ago, I was speaking to my mum and she says there were 3 cases in Auckland. And the whole, Auckland shuts down. They close the roads in. You can't come in. Everyone has to stay at home. I was like, 3 cases? 3 people I know have got it. Right now.
Yeah, right.
In the country, they kind of shut it down.
I've got it 4 times.
But, they just they take it seriously. And people say, how do you live like that? I've got people here say, I wouldn't want to live like that. I couldn't do it. I'm like, yeah, but they're living normally for the most part. If something happens, they close things down. But they've got, they're playing sporting events. There's 50,000 people in the stadiums. They're kind of back to normal for the most part.
So that 8-week period was huge for the country.
Yeah, it just and everyone just bought into it. Went, all right, cool. We're not gonna. And also, if people now come in to the country, they have to quarantine. I think only New Zealand citizens are allowed back in. Otherwise, you have to pay. And when it's quarantine, I think you go into a hotel.
Okay.
And there's police there. You can't leave.
Okay.
Deliver food.
Wow.
And so they just, I guess, they just took it very seriously, and you see the results. I think they had 26 deaths in a year.
That's the key, taking it serious, right? So let's get into our real talker Fugazi. We got guest real talker Fugazi.
Yeah, let me remind Jeremy, okay? The response is real talk if you agree with this, bold statement, and it's Fugazi if you disagree and give a little reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first bold statement, okay, in all of sports, in the entire world. The New Zealand All Blacks are the best national team in the entire world.
Real talk, no hesitation. There's real talk. History.
Okay.
They've got something in the last 100 years an 80-something% win record. They have this production line of players that come through. They could put out a second or third team.
Wow.
This rugby team in the world. And because I know rugby isn't really a big sport here, people think it's not a big sport around the world, but
it's huge.
It's
huge.
Pretty big. And for a country of 4 or 5 million people to have competing against Australia, the UK, South Africa, France, they all have teams, Japan. That team is always the best. They always have the best players. I think the biggest thing for them is their culture. That culture they have in that group, it's a no dickheads policy.
I like that.
As soon as you come in, get a chance. If you don't buy into that culture, you're out.
See ya.
I like it. And that's just like the opportunity you get. Like when you get the opportunity to play for the All Blacks, if you're not all in, see ya. There's another guy ready to buy into the culture, right?
Exactly. And it's weird because these players can go to France or places like that and make a ton more money. Yeah. But if they go and play in those countries, they can't play for the All Blacks. So they end up staying.
So for those of you who don't know, the New Zealand All Blacks national rugby team, they are probably the most winningest national team in any sport ever. I think Jeremy alluded to an 80% winning clip. I don't think you'll see that on many national teams, soccer, football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. But the most important,
have like a group. They have a couple of years where they're really strong, or like 3 or 4 years. This team is just every year, and they transition players in and out really easily. So you could be the best player in the world, and next year you don't have a great year. All right, you're out.
See you.
Well, that leads us into our next one. USA Soccer will never win a World Cup.
I guess not in the foreseeable future.
No, Jeremy. That's not how we play this game.
Well, I think, okay.
Never was the key word. USA Soccer will never win a World Cup.
Fugazi.
Okay, that's fair.
I think things need to change. They need to get rid of the salary cap and stuff like that so they can bring in the top players in the world into the league. When they do that, everyone wants to be in America.
Yeah.
They want to be in America, but obviously getting their money overseas. So once they can offer the same money here that they're paying, the top players in the world, they'll all come here.
And then the culture of soccer will grow, like the level will grow, right?
More money in the academies, developing players.
Yep.
I think they need to change the structure of the youth system. That's a whole other story. But
personally, I just think they need to develop or create their own haka, and then they'll be okay.
There you go.
But then they'd have to adapt to native culture.
Exactly.
Now we're just changing the game.
But that ain't in the United States repertoire.
First start off with some reparations, and then give away some land, and we're good to go. Now we got a haka coming.
When I was in the under 16s, we hosted this tournament because under 17 World Cup was in New Zealand. Hosted the tournament the year before, and we had South Africa, a couple of island nations, Pacific Island nations, and the US come out and played in it. And we had this night when all the teams are together and everyone performed. So we do our haka. South Africans had a tribal performance they did. Same with all the island nations. It was the US's turn.
What'd they do? They sang a country song.
Bless America or something.
They sang some country song. I can't even remember. It was so awkward. All the rest of the teams were kind of just side eyeing each other.
They probably sang John Denver Country Roads or something like that.
Or something like that. And that team went on to have a bunch of superstars, Landon Donovan.
Super awkward group.
Probably that Katy Perry song.
Probably, yeah. But it was
fireworks.
Us busting out these really passionate, cultural.
Yeah, and then it's I'm from Santa Barbara. Big shout Santa Barbara. Anyways, youth sports should be taught on smaller field dimensions. So what I mean by that is youth sports should be you should grow into the field dimensions as you get older.
Real talk. I mean, doesn't that we do that for soccer? The fields are all smaller and stuff like that. I feel like it's a no-brainer again.
Yeah.
They're not strong enough. They're not strong enough, right?
Well, it just came out for lacrosse 5-6 years ago is they actually implemented smaller field dimensions for 10 and under, right? Should there be smaller field dimensions when you get to 12 and under? You know what I'm saying? Or should they be playing full size regulation?
I think you play we play in soccer. You have the youngest ones play 5 aside, and then 7 aside, 9 aside, up to 11 aside. So the field grows at each level.
There you go.
Yeah, and once you get to 11 aside, you're playing
What age is that?
Under 13 they go.
Okay.
And that's big. Like that's a big field.
For 13-year-old, yeah, it's big.
It's really big. So yeah, I mean, there are some, I think in an ideal world, there is like a range for your field size. Like it doesn't have to be the same. It's between like, I don't know, 100 yards and 120 yards. So maybe younger ones you make it tighter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Matt, Matt, you got the last one?
Yeah. Last one is, all right, here we go. Youth lacrosse is the biggest competitor to youth soccer in the USA right now.
Real talk.
Wow.
I think lacrosse is like a growing sport. You know, I think other youth sports, football is obviously having some issues with stuff like that. Where I don't know, I'm not a parent. As a parent, you want them playing and stuff, but also there's maybe some concern over that. And then, you know, I love, Americans love baseball and stuff, but for me, you're standing around a lot. So it's, you know, a sport like soccer and lacrosse where you're constantly moving. It's good like for health reasons and stuff for younger kids. So I certainly see lacrosse as a growing sport. I knew nothing about lacrosse when I came here. Now it's kind of everywhere. Yeah. And maybe it's also been involved with like Highland and you know, Matt, you guys do an amazing job with the school team and with Braveheart and all those things. So, you know, we see it even more so probably there than some places, but certainly a growing sport. Got a bunch of kids on our soccer program who also play lacrosse. You know, so I think it seems, I mean, you know more than I do, but it's growing, right? Rapidly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I want to see soccer grow. I love the sport. I want to see lacrosse continue to grow. You know, I grew up, Marty and I grew up baseball players. And I can't say the same about baseball. I mean, I got no hard feelings for baseball guys out there. I love baseball. But man, I haven't put either of my kids into T-ball because it's so boring.
Yeah.
So, you know, soccer's fun to watch as a parent, fun to play. They're learning stuff. They're picking things up. Love to see that sport grow in this country because imagine 350 million people playing soccer, you know, a population of, you know, almost 400 million with kids playing soccer and loving the sport. That's how, you know, America will compete for a World Cup, you know.
What's the deal?
What's the deal? All right, here we go. Segment. All right, this is a situation going on in the country right now, whatever. Okay, and we highlight one cultural situation and try to give our feedback. And the one I chose was the little, I guess, Twitter finger beef between Zlatan and Ibrahimovic and LeBron James. I mean, as we all know, here in the States, you know, LeBron's, you know, been a big social activist. He's, you know, not only a great player, but he tries to give back to his community. He's had some tiffs with, you know, what's the Laura Ingraham from the Fox News Network. You know, she told him to shut up and dribble, telling him to stay out of politics and out of social issues. And that created some significant controversy. The other day, you know, LeBron made a statement. I don't know what the statement was, but, you know, Zlatan basically said, you know, he should stick to sports. And then he doubled down on it, said, athletes unite the world, politics divide it. Our role as athletes is to unite the world by doing what we do best. Athletes should be athletes and politicians should be politicians. What are your thoughts, Jeremy?
I think I would never like to say too much negative or wrong about Zlatan. You know, I think he's off the mark on this one. I mean, you know, that makes sense. Yeah, do what you do best. But when you see injustice in the world and, you know, LeBron is part of, you know, a community that sees injustice like always. And he has that platform. He's deserved that platform. He's earned that platform.
Right.
If he isn't going to stand up for people who don't have that platform, then who is? You know, so I think it's important that he should be allowed to do it, but it's really important that he's encouraged to do it. and that, you know, especially someone like him who has a history of, the history of standing up for people and fighting for, you know, change. I think, you know, I get where Zlatan's coming from. He's, you know, don't get involved in other things, but, you know, I think he needs to stay out of this one and let LeBron do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see. I don't see why you would want somebody that is that passionate about helping people to not help people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've got a bunch of different communities and groups of people who are, you know, in a place where they need help. They need people to support them. They need people to stand up for them. And I just feel like LeBron's doing that. I think it's important for anybody, especially, you know, people with platforms and with followings like LeBron has, to be knowledgeable of what they're talking about. I think a lot of times in this new social media era, we've got, you know, regular people, along with athletes, along with politicians, for that matter, who just spit off the top of the head, which is, you know, emotional, and it really isn't rational sometimes, and it doesn't help. But if you are in a position where you have people listening, and you thoroughly think things through, and you find a good need, or somebody in need, that, you know, you want to help, I see no problem, whether it's politically based, whether it's socially based, you know, for you to, you know, to kind of deliver your idea. And I think we're in an era where I think a lot of people think that when LeBron says something, that's how everybody should think. It's not right. That's not the case. Like, you know, LeBron's a man, just like Jeremy, just like Marty, just like myself. He has a platform which allows us to think, or allows us to hear how he thinks, which gives us, you know, encouragement, or gives us a different way of looking, or reinforcement to how we think. And but it's not the end all be all, which I think Zlatan feels like he's. I don't know. I can't speak for Zlatan.
Yeah. I think, you know, guys just have differences of opinions. Athletes have differences of opinions. I mean, some guys are in different spots, you know, socially. You know, LeBron's a black male in a country where black males have been suppressed, you know, and I'm not saying he's that way, because he's, you know, we know he's financially fine, and, you know, he's giving back and using his platform differently than, say, another athlete would. And I'm not slighting Zlatan. What was Zlatan, right? Sorry, I got his name. Zlatan. I bet he's really good soccer player, really good guy. I bet, you know, and I just think that you got to look at it through different lenses, man. Just like we were talking about earlier with women's equality and women's movement and the Black History Month, like, we got to look at it, the scope through everyone's different lenses. And we have to understand that what's LeBron seen in his life might be different than Zlatan. It's, you know, and where they are culturally, socially, whatever, right? Yeah. I love athletes using their platform in the right ways. I love it.
I think it's like LeBron's not just like spouting off when he thinks something. Yeah. He comes across as,
he does. That is an awful face to end on. Oh, he's back. He's
back. You cut off there, so finish your thought there real quick.
All right. I was just saying, yeah, he's kind of built up enough cachet where he's able to, people want to know what he's saying. So then and when he does talk, it feels like it's coming on behalf of the community, but also he ain't just talking. He's like, you know,
he's doing it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, he's sending kids to school, paying for everything. Like, come on, man. How do you get mad at that dude for, you know, saying how he feels? You know, if it was mean spirited, I mean, and that's where you got to come into it. Like, you can disagree on certain political issues, you can disagree on certain social issues, as long as you're not being mean spirited, as long as you're not oppressing people with your words, as long as I can be okay with you. You know, I'm down to listen to the most conservative, like, right wing person, as long as it's not hurtful, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to the most liberal left wing person, as long as it's not hurtful. The minute you use your platform to hurt somebody else, that's when I can't mess with you.
Got to draw the line.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well, I appreciate it, Jeremy. And every episode we like to end with dropping a little jewel. I mean, we're athletes. I wouldn't say we're social activists or politically charged, but we like to be conscious. We like to see what's going on, and as mentors, as teachers, as coaches, and with Marty and I as parents, we're in it to pass along our information and our knowledge onto the rest of the people we're around. So any listeners that are listening, we always drop some jewels for them. So Marty, if you want to drop a jewel, let me know.
Yeah, I got a book recommendation for coaches and players alike. The Leadership Playbook, Become Your Team's Most Valuable Leader by Jamie Beckler, Becler. Phenomenal book. Our squad at Southern's reading it right now. We're a couple chapters in, just letting the guys read it on their own. And then we got a couple of guys that step up and they say something about the chapter after every Tuesday's practice. It's really starting to become a really good cultural tie-in for us. So the Leadership Playbook, if you get a chance, read it with your squad. It's really good, and I think it's got some nice gems for you.
Awesome. Well, my jewel came from something I saw on Instagram. It was with Dr. Phil, of all people. He was talking to some young lady. I don't really know what the context was, but he talked about change. And what I took from what he said, and I don't want to paraphrase everything he said, but he basically said that change isn't a long-term goal, isn't a long-term activity. And I think a lot of people are afraid of change because it may take, you may think it takes a while. But in order to change, you got to realize that your past influences your present.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make one little change in your present, that becomes part of your past, and that becomes part of what influences you in the future and in the present later. And so one day of change becomes, that much of an influence for the next day. And then once you are influenced by that yesterday's change, now you got 2 days to influence. And if you keep double, obviously you can see it keep going and growing and growing until it becomes really who you are.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah, man. So, change, if you look at it long term, it's going to scare you away. Just look at it as a short term activity, as a short term goal. So,
nice.
Yep. What you got for us, Jeremy?
First of all, beware your internet provider. But something I'm dealing with a little bit from time to time with kids. I think it's relevant in all areas of the world, though, is like always look for opportunities to grow and develop. And in a situation, I've got some kids who, my team's not good enough, or I'm the best player, I'm not growing my skill set or whatever. That becomes a frustration where teach kids that that's an opportunity to still grow in other areas. You can grow your leadership ability. How can you influence someone who's maybe not as good as you, instead of thinking, well, I'm not growing technically, so be done with it? Can you now develop that player? And this helps build your leadership skills. So there's always ways to grow some part of your character, and especially when about leadership, that's one of the most important things you can develop. So looking at it as a positive instead of as a negative, and having an impact.
That is so overlooked. Character and leadership amongst youth players that are talented. Isn't that overlooked? I don't see many coaches addressing that. It's not enough as they should,
Yeah. We all got to do our part. We're all coaches, right?
Yeah. All we hear is that these kids aren't good enough, so they're holding them back.
That's not the case.
So bring them up, right? Add value to someone's life. Right, add value to your teammate. If you're the best
learn
guy,
more.
Add some value.
You learn more by teaching others.
That's right.
Hey man, Jeremy, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was fun. You gave us an opportunity to see what commercial breaks would look like throughout the podcast.
See, always look for the positive. See, you're taking
Hey, you see. But nah, man, you know, the ideas, the thoughts, the experiences you shared with us are influential. Hopefully, you know, we continue to grow our following, our viewers, and you know, they take some good stuff away from it.
Yeah. You got anything you want to leave us with? That it? You good, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I appreciate you guys. Keep doing your thing. I think this is awesome. Spreading the word and getting out there. So
we're getting there. We're getting there. Follow us
Hoops
on
on
Twitter.
Thursday. Hoops on Thursday.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Same _cloth, and on Instagram, same cloth pod. We appreciate you. Thank you for being on, Jeremy. We appreciate it.
Kirkland, platinum on the block with consistent hits.